anyway, there are 9 principles to the FYN FFL program, and they're really what I call common sense suggestions, principles that any gardener who wants to do the right thing is going to decide for themselves. The first one, which has become kind of a catch-all lately, I'm seeing it everywhere, it's called right plant, right place. And I'm sure you have gone down several streets here in Cape Coral where LCEC has come along and they have cut the trees, the tops of the trees, kind of like this, and so cut them away from the power lines. That was the wrong place, wrong plant in the wrong place. And you will see in some yards, some plant that has just gotten so overgrown it can't be handled any longer. It's the wrong plant in the wrong place. Or there could be a plant that is just droopy, not doing anything, and it's under the shade of a tree. Maybe it needs more sun. So when you buy a plant, be sure and read that tag that's with the plant. Even look it up online if you want to. You'll get more information even than what's on the tag. Do remember, though, that a lot of those tags were written in North Dakota or Minnesota that say full sun. That plant may not particularly like your sunny front yard at 3 in the afternoon in July. So it may need a little bit of protecting late in the afternoon. Just read the tag. It will tell you so much about where that plant goes, what it likes, the kind of soil it likes, the light it likes. If it's a blooming flower, it will probably tell you when to expect blooms, which if you're just moving here, that may not always apply here. You will find some annuals that you were used to having up north are going to be perennials here. So just remember that is number one, the most important. The second principle is attracting wildlife. Because you want wildlife, you want butterflies. Everybody wants butterflies now in their yard. And you've got to have the right plants in order to attract the butterflies, the good insects, the birds. Even we have rabbits in our yard, which I love, and so far they haven't eaten up everything. So do a little research. There is a list on the University of Florida, the IFAS Extension website. You can find all kinds of plant information there, and you can find descriptions and names of butterfly plants that will grow here. That website is divided into 3 separate sections for Florida. There's the north, central, and south. And of course, we're in the south, and it's much different than the central or the north as far as the temperate zones go. So butterflies are wonderful things to have. We have a lot of them right now at the Cape Coral Historical Museum, and we go up there on Tuesday mornings and they're just flying around everywhere. It's so nice. Right now, we have many generations of Atala butterflies that we're really proud of. The Atala butterflies were almost extinct. They started showing up in the Miami area, and Rotary Park had gotten them started, and they have been very generous for us. They have given us eggs and caterpillars and told us a lot about what they want, what they need as host plants and nectar plants. And so knock wood, hope they stay there. And so we have eggs, we have caterpillars, we have chrysalis, we have adults. So we're excited about that. And if you want to come see them, and Rotary has a really good population of the Atalas. They're really unique, and come up and see them. We'd love for you to. The next one is protect our waterfront, which is particularly important in this area with all of our canals. There is a suggestion that you let 10 feet from your canal wall, your seawall, 10 feet back toward your yard, you leave it natural so that the wildlife has a place to hide. They could build nests in there. They can find food, water. It also protects your seawall. It's a really good thing to have. It also filters the rainwater before it goes into the canal or the river, wherever you happen to live. So protecting the waterfront in Cape Coral is extremely important, as we all know from the algae blooms and the red tide and all of that. So all of that will help. Water efficiently. You do not need to turn your sprinkler system on when it's pouring down rain. The good practice is in the summer, turn it off. Even if you're a snowbird and you're going to go north, show a neighbor how to turn it off, or just ask your neighbor to water your yard or your plants occasionally. I watered some plants for my neighbor down the street this last winter when they were gone up north. I love to do it. It's no big deal. It was fine for me to do that. So about 20 minutes in a zone for your watering is fine. Be sure and follow Cape Coral's water, what day and what time you're supposed to water. That's very important. A good thing to do if you want to know exactly how much water you should put on your yard, get a tuna fish can, just the empty can, or you get more than one and set them out in particular places in your yard. Run your sprinkler, and if you get an inch of water in that can and you say you've done it in 20 minutes, that's all the water it needs. Turn it off or set your timer. Okay, so we can do this much more efficiently than most of us do. Also, if you have downspouts that are running on a solid driveway, it's just going to run into the street and out into the canal. So fix it if you possibly can to run on your grass, on some pavers, anything that will let the water soak into the ground rather than running into the canal. The next principle is mulch correctly. And I know you've probably seen this. A tree in, it seems to be mostly commercial settings, where they call it the volcano effect, is where the mulch is up around the trees, just mounded up around the tree trunk. This is not good for the tree at all. In one place, it encourages insects to get into your tree because that mulch is cool and damp. So they're just going to crawl in there and, oh, wow, there's a yummy tree right there. And they're just going to get in and infect your tree. It also, the trunk of the tree doesn't like all of that moisture. So pull it back about 6 inches or even more from the trunk of your tree and disperse that mulch. You only need 3 to 4 inches of mulch. You don't need 8 or 10. So do not plant around, don't mulch up around your plants. This is true for bedding plants also. You don't want to just smother those roots. I think they would be much happier if you do that. We recommend Melaleuca mulch, which is also called flora mulch. It's sold almost every place now here in Cape Coral. It's made from the Melaleuca tree, which is a highly invasive tree. If you're traveling down 75 toward Naples, you will see these trees with kind of the gray bark that looks like it's peeling off. Those are Melaleuca trees. They were brought here years ago, and they're highly, highly invasive, and they're trying to get rid of them. So a really good thing to do is to make mulch out of them. Now the mulch is heated, all the germs are killed, the bugs are killed, and there's no Melaleuca seeds that are going to pop up in your yard either. So look for flora mulch. I think you'll be happy with it. It is a really good mulch. Like I said, you can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, Forestry Resources out on Nicholas, just north of Pine Island Road, across from Office Depot and Kohl's. That's shopping center there. Reduce stormwater runoff. Boy, we've had that today. And most of that, or a lot of that, is going to run right into the canal, whether you're close to it or not. It will, if you're not close to a canal or water, it's going to sink into the ground, and then eventually it's going to go out into the canal. So you want to try to disperse that. You don't want it running straight into the water source for sure. That's another reason for that natural 10 feet away from the seawall, because that kind of slows the water down, has a chance to soak in some, and much better. One thing with the stormwater that we probably don't think about, but if you fertilize your trees or your plants, and then we have a downpour and it runs into the canal, it takes some of that fertilizer with it. And the canal does not need that nitrogen and phosphorus. That's what makes the algae grow. So try to disperse that water so that it sinks into the ground. Next is fertilize smart, is what I was kind of saying right there. Read the label. You don't need to drown your plants with fertilizer. For one thing, they could get burnt and die. You don't want to fertilize right before we're supposed to have a big storm. I know you're thinking, oh, I'm going to fertilize so the rain will wash the fertilizer into the soil. Most of it's going to run off. It's not going to soak in that fast. So you really don't want to do that. Now you could water it in with a hose or your sprinkler system, because that's not nearly as strong as a downpour. So think about that. And I hope you all know Cape Coral and most of Lee County has a fertilizer ban in the summer when we do get all of the rain. It's from June 1st through September 30th. Do not fertilize, because again, it's going to wash into the water, and we do not want that. You can still use nutrients if you need to, say your plant needs some iron or some magnesium or some calcium, something. You can do that. You can spray your citrus trees with citrus nutrients. We're talking about the nitrogen and the phosphorus. That's the things that we do not want in the canal. So be sure, and I said, read the label so you know what you're getting. And if you can find the slow fertilizer that just gradually goes into the soil, rather than putting it down and it all sits there or goes down at once, you want it to kind of a time release fertilizer to go on your plants. And that will be very helpful to the water and to your plants. I don't know. My husband and I hardly fertilize anything. So, and if y'all came to the garden tour a couple of years ago, you know we don't fertilize a lot. We also, at the Cape Coral Museum, we are a certified FYN garden. We just got recertified last week, as a matter of fact. We hardly ever fertilize anything. It just grows. And if it doesn't grow, it comes out and is thrown away. It goes to the compost pile. I think as a society, we probably fertilize more than we actually need to. I'm sure most of your plants, if you're doing it right, really appreciate that. They like it, but they will do just fine unless there's some serious problem. they're going to do okay. So be careful, be stingy with your fertilizer. And then next we have integrate pest management. You know that my hair looks terrible. You know that if you have a pest in your yard, 99% of those pests are good bugs, and you want to have them around. You may have to do a little research to find out which are the good ones and which are the bad ones, but for the most part, they're good. Um, I know a lot of people don't like spiders. Most spiders eat other bugs. They're good to have around. Ladybugs, we all know ladybugs. Dragonflies. Oh gosh, now off the top of my head, lacewing flies. These are good. There are even some flies that eat other insects. So do your research. And again, have some plants around that the good bugs like. And it's not hard to find all of these lists if you go to the university website. Uh, or even come up to the museum. We'll talk to you. Call me, ask me questions. I don't care. Be glad to talk to you. The last is recycle and compost. Very important. You can recycle, say you've got railroad ties or boards around your border and you want to change them. Don't just throw them in the trash. Find someplace else you can put them. Cut them up and use them, turn them long ways like this and use them for a garden barrier. There's all kinds of things that you can do to recycle. You can recycle, now they're doing all kinds of cute things to recycle different things to make flower pots. You know, you can take old boots and make flower pots with them. You can take cute watering cans, all kinds of things. That's why when you go to the accessory store, the garden center, they have pots that look like they're rusted. That's kind of in right now. Everybody likes that look. Well, you can do that probably with things that you've got around your house. I remember one time I had a pipe, concrete pipe that was, probably 12 inches tall. And I would set a flower pot in that. I liked it. I thought it was really cute. We moved. My husband was not going to take that pipe, and I insisted that we take that pipe, and I've used it a lot. So recycle. And you all know composting is a very, very good way to give your plants and your yard what they need. It's not that difficult to do. I know some places like my yard, it's hard to find a place to do it, but you can do it on a small scale too, in a bucket. Just be sure it's got some holes in the bottom to drain, or set it inside another bucket. And you can then just take a trowel and put some on your plants as they need it. You don't have to do the whole flower bed. And it's really, really a good thing to do. Save your table scraps, tops off of the green onions if you don't use them, the core of the cabbage, whatever. Cut it up. You don't want to put the whole core of the cabbage in there whole. It will take it too long to decompose. So cut it up, stick it in there. It's going to decompose. If you have any grass clippings, that's really good. That puts nitrogen in your compost. If you have any leaves, which strangely enough, this time of year, we kind of have some leaves, kind of chop those up, put them in your compost. You're putting those nutrients back in your compost, which puts it back into the soil. I don't know of a plant or a tree that can't do without some compost. They would like it. It's much better than fertilizer out of a bag because it's got all the nutrients. It's got everything in there that that plant or that tree needs. Again, if you go online, There's lots of places on YouTube that tell you how to make different sizes and different kinds of compost bins. And speaking of the rain barrels, back to water efficiency, twice a year, I don't think it's 3 times a year, twice a year at Rotary Park, Master Gardeners and Rotary Park have a rain barrel class. You can go on Parks and Rec to Rotary Park, Cape Coral Parks and Rec at Rotary Park, and you will find the schedule there. And you can sign up that you want to take the class. It's about an hour long, usually when they have the native plant sale down there too. And for $45, you can get a rain barrel that's all cleaned out, has all of the fittings, the faucets, the overflow, the hole for your gutter to go through. It's all ready for you to set up. Paint if you want to. There's all kinds of different ways you can paint. You can paint it your house color. If you're talented, you can paint something on it like the ones that we always have at March in the Park. It's just a fun thing to do. But the rain barrels are important too. Again, that's really good water for your plants. So I just wanted to say that everything that this, like I said before, these 9 principles to me are just common sense things. And I'll plug the garden at the museum one more time. We are there. Sharon and Phyllis and I are there, and Nancy O'Brien will be there soon. She's taking the new Master Gardener class, so now she will be a Master Gardener.